let's look at that alternative, Mr. Levy, because you wrote in a recent piece also, after decades of Palestinian subjugation under Israeli rule, you can kill the current top people of Hamas, but you will not kill the ideology of Hamas. What is the alternative? What is this alternative route, given the fact that you're saying that destroying the ideology of Hamas will not be easy?
No, it will not be easy, because after so many years of occupation, of siege, of Hamas rule, people of Gaza and Palestinians in general, and also many Arabs and Muslims all over the world, are today in a very, very extreme place. And I don't want to sound as a naive guy who says, let's just open Gaza and there will be peace. Not at all. It will take years, decades, maybe generations until perceptions will change. But we have to start from somewhere, because violence for sure will not do it. Violence will make all Gaza Hamas, all the Palestinian Hamas, and maybe all the Arabs and the Muslims in the world Hamas, once we will not try an alternative way.
But tell me the alternative way, because over the years, the obvious alternative way was seen as a two-state solution of an Israeli state and a Palestinian state living peaceably next to each other. That hasn't worked out. So what is this alternative way that you would say could lead to some kind of enduring peace?
First of all, let's ask, why didn't it work out? It worked out because Israel was not a partner, because Israel had built so many settlements in the occupied territories and sent so many Jewish settlers to the settlements that the two-state solution was irrelevant anymore. There is no place, no room for a two-state solution. So you can't just say, we tried the two-state solution, it didn't work. It didn't work out because Israel, the occupier, didn't give it a chance.
So what would you say? You say that the existing settlements, for example, in the West Bank have to be moved out of the West Bank, because there will be those who will say the Palestinian Authority as well as Hamas have also a role, are also culpable for the failure of this two-state solution.
You can't share the responsibility between the occupier and the occupied one. There is a very clear responsibility on the shoulders of the occupier. They are not symmetric. But I don't think that the settlements can be removed anymore. I mean, there are over 700,000 Jewish settlers, including in East Jerusalem. Who is going to remove them? Who? No chance. We have to start to work out a new discourse, namely to have a democracy between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean, one person, one vote, equality between Palestinians and Jews who live together in one democratic country. Right now, it sounds really fantastic, not realistic, and misleading. But I don't know any other solution.
But with Benjamin Netanyahu in power, someone who in a way has made it very clear that he's going to take a tough stand towards the Palestinians, especially post-October 7th, even tougher possibly, such a solution seems unlikely, unthinkable almost, given that Mr. Netanyahu himself is accused today by the Palestinians of having actively encouraged these settlements, and there is so much of mistrust, anger and hate out there. How do you end that hatred?
First of all, I have news for you. Not only with Mr. Netanyahu, this solution is right now unthinkable. It is unthinkable with any Israeli potential prime minister. I don't know any of the Israeli politicians and leaders who will go for it. Sure, we are very far off it. But again, I have to ask, so what are they suggesting? More and more bloodshed? Let's have good luck with this.
But there will be, again, I come back to it, Mr. Levy, there will be victims, their families today who are still enraged, who are still hurting after that dastardly attack of October 7th. Somewhere their rage has to be satiated in a way. So how do you satiate their rage, their hatred that has been built up now on both sides? There are Gazans who are hating Israelis and vice versa. And it's not just, it didn't happen on October 7th, it's been stretching across several decades. How does that end? How do you solve that?
I don't know how it ends. I know only how it starts. It starts with steps which will gradually, slowly, maybe years, maybe more, will change this reality. If you don't want to change this reality, so you're right. The idea is to change some things. We should first of all go for a very rapid deal and very generous deal to release all the kidnapped Israelis and the Palestinian prisoners in jail. This can be the first step which will unease a little bit the atmosphere. If we will not do it, we will lose also the 200 kidnapped Israelis.
So you're saying that the Israeli hostages in the hands of Hamas should be released and Palestinian prisoners in Israeli jails should also be released, and that could be the first step towards trying to reduce some of this anger and hatred. Am I correct?
Yes.
As a first step, because you've also said in a very strong opinion recently, Israel cannot imprison 2 million Gazans without paying a cruel price. And you say behind all the lies of recent times lies Israeli arrogance. The idea that we can do whatever we like, that we'll never pay the price and be punished for it. Are you saying in a sense what's happened in the last fortnight has ended this notion of Israeli invincibility once and for all, and therefore what has happened is also a wake-up call for Israel?
Look, Israel for decades believed that it can go on with its policies, with its really beautiful lives in Israel, with prosperity, with a high-tech nation, with selling enormous quantities of weapons to your country and to some other countries. And the Palestinians will continue to live forever either in the cage of Gaza or under the military dictatorship in the West Bank, and this can last forever and everything is fine. We normalized this reality, but this reality was not normal. And there is a time in which you pay the price. I never knew when will it come, but it was very clear that being responsible to such a reality must have a price, and here we are.
Do you believe then, in a way, Netanyahu on one side and the Hamas on the other have fed on each other? They both sort of pushed themselves into a conflict which has tragically ended or tragically found its way in these mindless killings? Do you believe that that's part of the problem, that any form of extremism is creating these divides within society there?
I think it's deeper than just to take Netanyahu and Hamas. It's much deeper and it goes much more backwards. We are dealing with a conflict of over 100 years. We are dealing with an occupation which is 55 years. It's not only about one politician and one organization. It's about an ongoing process in which Israel never did the right thing vis-a-vis the neighbors, vis-a-vis the people who are living in the same land and who were living in this land much before the Jews came here. So if we want to be accepted to this neighborhood, we have to change our behavior, like any new person who comes to a new neighborhood. And as long as we continue with this attitude that the Palestinians don't interest us and their fate can be totally ignored, then from time to time there will be those bloody wake-up calls.